Hey there, everyone. I'm Tony from the Marathon Mates. Welcome to episode 132. On tonight's episode, we're going to have a lot of fun as we talk about some of our favorite marathon courses and why. We're going to share details of the event from a runner's perspective, explaining what makes these courses some of the best going around. We'll talk about everything from the Expo right through to the finish line and why you should put these events on your list of places to run. Now, we love running and we love sharing our adventures of running around the world. We are the only podcast with 4 7-star world marathon major finishes. This is the Flying Runr Podcast. Are you ready to run? Let's go.
It's the Flying Runr. Run far, run free. Host the 7 stars, inclusive as can be. It's the Flying Runr for you and me.
Right. Welcome back. Now, before we have a laugh and work our way through some of our favorite marathon events, let me introduce you to my regular co-hosts. We have got Tim and we have Lucia. Once again, Tara is doing that thing called work tonight and is unable to join us again, but she'll be here in spirit, no doubt. And she has promised that she will be back with us again next week. Let's talk about what have you been up to over the last week. So I'm going to start with you, Tim. So how is the running and how's the training going?
G'day, Tony. G'day, Lucia. It's great to see you. I guess this week has been a good week for me. I've picked up my midweek runs. I've picked up some extra sessions during the midweek. I got up to 35 Ks completed during the midweek. So that's what I call Monday to Friday. And got a bit of my old form back, which I liked. So I'm building up a bit of a routine. And then finished it off with a park run on Saturday at Kedron Park Run, just with Tara. Ran side by side with Tara. Had some fun. Unfortunately, we missed out on our long run this week. We went out and had a social life instead on Saturday night. Went out and saw this a great little show called Blanc de Blanc here in Brisbane at West End, and really enjoyed it and had a good old laugh and just enjoyed a night out and having a few drinks and relaxing and not thinking about running for a change. So, yeah, really good. Really enjoyed it.
Lucia, how was your week?
Yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me. I am having some technical issues at the moment, so apologies to Tony and Tim for that. They're in bed with me tonight, so trying to get him back into a routine of things. Because unfortunately they had to cancel. So the next Sydney Marathon Run Club will be in February. Once I know the exact date, we'll post it because it'd be great to see some of our Sydney-based listeners, and hopefully by then I'll be able to share some very exciting news.
Awesome. You're cutting in and out there a little bit.
And that's me.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a bit, but we got the general gist of it, I think, didn't we, Tony?
Yeah, I think so. And let's hope that robotic version of Lucia stays away for the rest of the episode, because that will be very, very challenging. In respect of myself, I went for a midweek run. I did a strength and stretch session on Tuesday. Sharon came home from work and looked at me while I was doing my workout and said, "Do you want to go to the pub for dinner?" And so I quickly stopped the session and went to the pub for dinner, and we had a very nice dinner. Wednesday I went for a run, and then Thursday, Friday I just couldn't walk because I did something to my knee and it was just that painful. I could hardly walk. So it wasn't a great week for me, but got my big boy brace back on the knee on, pretty much Thursday, Friday. And, by the end of Saturday, I was feeling okay, so I went for a walk on Sunday, but I'm just not having a good run at the moment. So, I've still got a bit of time, so I'm not panicked, but we'll see how we go. But we did have some feedback, and it's been an interesting week because the term Lucia's Army is now a hashtag, apparently. So Lucia's Army have loved that sort of thing that I mentioned last week, and it's always good to see that. So Lucia's Army, if you want to grab Lucia's attention, use the hashtag Lucia's Army. Peter, thank you very much for that. But also, we put out a challenge to our listeners about equipment that had gone well beyond their use by date, like Tim's vest that he had, and Amy I believe it's Amy from the Girls Run Club, came back with the fact that she's loving the show, but she had a visor from the 2017 NYC, which is New York Marathon, and she's used it for all of her marathons since, and lots of races and long runs. Now it's starting to fade and the Velcro barely holds on, but I really want it to last until my next marathon out of superstition. So she's tucked it away for those special runs. So it's really, it's great hearing from our viewers that are sharing some of their things. So definitely not as many as the running vest, she says, but she's holding on to it as long as she can. So it looks like we have just lost Lucia. So we'll just continue. The two boys will continue, and hopefully Lucia's Army don't suddenly vacate the podcast as of now. Please stay on there because she'll be back. So, but we also had another interesting comment we got was from Mark in the UK, and Mark's been listening to us for a little bit now, and I'd say he's probably close to one of our biggest fans over there in the UK. He's saying he loved the list that we put together on the 26 races in 2026, but being from Manchester, he'd like to put the Manchester half in on your radar, on our radar, as it is a much better route than the Great Manchester Run that's held in May. The May one is always hot, and he does say for us hot is 20 degrees, whereas the October one is usually perfect conditions. Now, if I remember rightly, when I was in Manchester going back a number of years and we tried to leave to catch the ferry in Wales to go to Ireland, they were running the Manchester half on that particular day. So where the GPS was telling me to go, there was a lot of closed streets there. It finishes up close to Old Trafford, the cricket field, and it's one that we would definitely put on the radar. So if ever we're coming to Manchester, I'd be happy to host you. Yes, Darren. Mark, sorry, I'm coming in 2027 for the Manchester full marathon if we can get in. He thinks we've nailed some of the big hitters, but we may have think about the Rock and Roll Las Vegas half is on his list. He's doing 3 of the super halves this year: Prague, Copenhagen, and Cardiff. And a couple for you guys to look at are the Athens Authentic Marathon in November and the Seville half, or the Seville Marathon, described as the flattest marathon in Europe. So, Mark, thanks for that awesome comment, and we need to find a way to get you on the podcast, in all honesty. And welcome back, Lucia.
Yes, sorry, guys. You've got full bars of service, so it looks good at the moment.
Now, I know you guys covered this already, but again, a big thank you to Peter for starting the hashtag of Lucia's Army. Let's see how far we can get it going. Can we get it to go global? Because I've sold out one marathon. Let's see how many I can sell out.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, interestingly enough, we've talked a little bit about Strava and paying for Strava in the last couple of episodes. And interestingly, I let my membership lapse. So somewhere along the line, I've changed phones, and it was all done through Apple, and Apple had the wrong card in there and all this sort of stuff. But anyway, and just before I let it lapse, they've released a new membership perk, which is it's called the Recover app. And basically it's an app that gives you prehab, rehab, post-run routines. It's all video, and it's pretty cool. So I went in and checked my emails. I found the one where it says, hey, your payments are not going through, but here's a 25% off to entice you to come back. So I did. So I'm back in Strava, but I have to say I shared the app with Sharon the other day, and she actually quite likes it too. So a 10-minute strength session and all of that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I think I've spoken enough. It's that time of the week.
23rd of January is some big news, isn't there, for our Flying Runr?
There is some music coming, and I do have to say, for all those Apple Music people that use Apple Music, it's unlikely to be on Apple Music, and I'm not exactly sure of the reason why, but I'll try and find out. But it's certainly gone through to when you distribute it, it goes to 150 platforms, but we know Spotify is the big one that most people listen to, and it will be live on Spotify on the 23rd of January. And if you're listening to our socials, you're getting little snippets right through the week. So hopefully there'll be songs that you can add to your playlist as you go running around, and there's some gold in there. There's some of the advice that we share right throughout the music. So that's your pace and glory. Don't forget to follow them. So now it's time for the news. So Tim, what's been happening around the world this week?
All right, thanks, Tony. And I know this one is one that will interest you and Lucia. Boston, we've all done the 5K race, which is held on the Saturday before the Boston Marathon. For us in Australia, we've typically had to get up at about 2 a.m. in the morning, log in using our Boston BAA memberships, and dial into the race entries. And usually we had about 20 minutes, half an hour to get that, based on the last few years, to get in that entry. Well, finally, the Boston Athletic Association has decided enough is enough. We're sick of Australians waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. We are now going to have a lottery system for the 5K race. So the registration details are, and these are US dates, the lottery will be open for the 5K race from Monday, January 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, US, through to Thursday, January 29th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Anyone can apply during this 4-day window via the Athletes Village, which is a part of the BAA website. And then after that, a random selection will occur and registration closes. In the weeks following, you'll be notified of your registration, and if you are accepted, you will have a $70 entry fee deducted from your nominated credit card. If you're applying as a group, that is up to 3 people, you are considered as a single entry and accepted or rejected together. As we know, it will take place this year on Saturday, April 18th, and it has a field limit of 10,000 runners. In 2025, it sold out in 21 minutes, prompting the shift to the lottery system. So I think this is a good thing for people around the world. It doesn't all revolve around the US. I would think that if you're in the US, even being in the US, trying to get in at times would have been quite difficult, especially if you're on a work day and you've got meetings or whatever. So having a lottery system is probably good. I would hate to think how many people do apply for it, but I would say that 10,000 field limits probably would be double at least of people trying to get into it. But guys, what are your thoughts on that one?
I actually think it's a good idea, and similar with other ballots, because not everyone can be online at the time in which the race entry is open. So yeah, I'm surprised they've gone down this way though for the 5K, but I think it's a good idea though, because I remember the year that we did it, Tim, and like we were all up at, I think it was like 2 o'clock my time, 1 o'clock your time, and thank God we did get up at that time, because if we'd gotten up normal time, the race had sold
You
out.
wouldn't get in. Yeah.
So I don't mind races going into a ballot system, and so that way everyone has the chance to at least enter the ballot.
It's really the way of the world now, isn't it? So just another ballot. So fingers crossed.
There you go. But it is a surprising move from BAA. Does that mean that the marathon might be next as a ballot entry? I don't think so. I'll leave it at
Well, in some ways, it is a ballot entry. You just got to hit the qualifying times, and
yes,
yeah, I don't see that changing.
No. And the other bit of news, which I hate talking about, and I'm only going to give it very limited attention, but this week another Kenyan has been busted for drugs. Albert Kurora from Kenya has been provisionally suspended after testing positive for the blood doping agent CERA, C-E-R-A, which is a third-generation form of EPO. He won the New York Marathon in 2021. He also came third in the event in 2023, and he also won the 2019 Ottawa Marathon in Canada. CERA stimulates red blood cell production, and whilst it's a relatively new drug, it has been identified in other Kenyan athletes over the past year or so. And this is the really surprising, well, it's not surprising, but the numbers adding up really quickly. He is now part of a list of 114 other Kenyan runners who are all mainly long-distance runners who have been sanctioned for drug offences since 2016. So pretty crazy. 14, at least one a month or more in the last 10 years from Kenya. I'm getting sick and tired of seeing all these positive test results coming through from Kenya. I know they're trying hard. I know World Athletics has set up testing units in Kenya, and I guess this is a sign that they are catching people, and it's good that they are catching people. But I would have liked to have woken up this year in 2026 and not heard a doping story from Kenya. But here we are, second, third week of the year, and here we are, we're hearing it. So it's pretty shitty. I don't like talking about it too much, but anyway, it is part of the sport we've got, guys. So that's the news.
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it, that another doping test. I was listening to the Running Channel's podcast just recently around altitude training, and Andy was talking about the fact that when he was running, you either did altitude training or you pumped EPO into your blood. So, and then he said, so I figured I'd have to do it. And of course, Sarah goes, what? Pump EPO into you? No, altitude training. So, yeah. So, interesting about the sellouts that are coming through. And, you know, Adelaide is now, and I've never heard of Adelaide even getting close to sellout, but it's at 80% and it's run in May. So there's still spaces there if people want to go do 2 loops around the Adelaide Marathon course. It actually looks a nice course except for the 2 loop scenario. But interestingly, you know, we're now doing this thing called the BPI, which is all about the back of the pack racing. And if you go to our website, you can see a bit of a page about it, where we're going to rank and rate marathons around what we call, you know, the back of the pack index. So where do they fit in that sort of scale? And the reason why I'm sharing that is I sent Lucia an Instagram of a quite brutal cutoff, right, at the Jakarta Marathon, where this person rolls under the rope that's being put out by right on the finish line. The cutoff time is 5 hours at the Jakarta Marathon. and the race starts at 4:00 in the morning. So, and I understand that, and there's all safety concerns, and it's all related on their website. But needless to say, from a BPI, I don't think it's going to be very high, a very friendly race at all for back of the packers. So, all right, let's have a little bit of a laugh tonight. So we're going to describe some of it could be your favorite. It just could be what I call a blind marathon. Try and figure out what it is. We aren't going to tell you what the marathon is or where you can find it. We're just going to hopefully be able to describe the marathon from the expo right to the finish without giving it away, and then we're going to have a bit of a stab in the dark to see if we can guess that. Is that the format, Tim?
Yep.
That's how.
Yep.
And just to further expand on that, we haven't told each other which one we're going to be talking about, so it's going to be interesting to see. Are we going to have any double ups?
It could be a very short episode. We could all have the same one.
It could be. And some of our listeners are probably saying, thank God for that. No, they're not. They're saying, no. We're going to start with Tara. And Tim's going to channel Tara's spirit and talk about Tara's marathon. Over to you, Tim.
Okay. So, all right. I'm going to describe the event and the weekend. So it starts off, it's a November event somewhere in the world, and it's not in Australia. So it is an overseas event. It has different distances. It's not just marathon distance. Marathon is their furthest distance. It has half marathon. I think there's a 10K and a 5K as well. It is described in their marketing as flat out beautiful, but it is not a flat course. And it is a point-to-point course. Tara has done the marathon there once, and she's done the half marathon there once as well. And it's point-to-point course. So you arrive into this destination. The expo is held in a hall not far from the airport. When I say not far, you can literally walk from the airport to the location, Lucia. You can store your luggage. Yeah, you might be right. And so, yes, it is the Queenstown Marathon held in November. You walk from the airport to the expo. You can walk around the expo, grab your gear. It's a short little ride into town, or a bus ride, or a taxi ride into town, or an Uber. And the whole town comes alive for it. It's a great little destination event in the southern parts of New Zealand. It's mild temperatures. We've run the half marathon there where we're at the start line in sort of -2 degrees with frosts. And when we ran the marathon, it was a little bit warmer than that. Describing the marathon course, as I said, it is a flat out course, is what they say, but it actually has hills, combination of road and gravel or trail paths. As I said, point to point. So it starts at Arrowtown, which is north of Queenstown, and you run down, start in a vineyard, you run down into the main street of Arrowtown, and then from there you do a loop around Lake Hayes before you then come down and around towards the Shotover River, run along the Shotover River, and it's undulating course before you swing around onto Lake Wakatipu, and then you run around Lake Wakatipu before coming up through the centre of Queenstown and finishing in the middle of Queenstown. Crowds are awesome. They're cheering a lot of the way. The scenery is just spectacular, surrounded by the Remarkables, which is a mountain range there, plus other mountains and hills in the area. Snow-capped mountains, just stunningly beautiful course. And then obviously, once it's all finished, it's a spectacular backdrop for celebration dinners and things like that. There's great party zones in Queenstown, great pubs, and just an all-round great atmosphere. So, as I said, we've done the half and the full there. Tara did the half back, we did the half back in 2016, and then the full marathon in 2019. The half marathon starts halfway along the course, so you're literally starting on the side of the road in a farmer's paddock, and then you come out onto the course proper and you mix in with the marathon runners as the back of the pack marathon runners run past. So really well organised event, really great, stunning event. Buses take you from Queenstown out to Arrowtown and vice versa at the end of it. It's this whole, as I said, the whole town comes out and celebrates. And it's just a real party atmosphere on the course as well. Yeah, can't knock it as an event. And that's why it's one of Tara's favourite events. It also is Tara's home. It's where she grew up as a child and grew up in the backyard there of pretty much Queenstown or in that vicinity. So gives her a lot of happy memories when she's there. The smells, the feels, the look and feel of the mountains, the whole lot reminds her a lot of her childhood. So you picked it, Lucia, Queenstown.
And I can echo, it is a great event. And one of the bonuses is great burgers from Ferg Burger.
Yes. After the event.
Or before. Either or.
Oh, before. Carb loading the day before. Yes.
Looks a great event. Awesome.
You have cookie time cookies as well, which are great. Yeah, the whole vibe is good. Yeah, as I said, it starts in a vineyard. Yeah, really awesome. And I presume that's where it was. I know in the first year when we did it in 2016, the Expo was held in town closer, but in 2019 it was held in a hall closer to the airport, which is where I presume it still is right now. So, yeah, literally we walked straight off the plane and dragged our bags 300 metres down the road from the airport or whatever it was. It was great.
Awesome. Awesome. Well done, Lucia, and nicely described, Tim. Obviously, nicely described for Lucia to get it so quickly. But I knew in the back of my mind, I was thinking it would be. Tara's talked about the Queenstown Marathon many times on the show. I just could not put the name to it. So anyway, well done, Leach. All right, Leach, you're up next.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to say which part of the world it's in, sorry, I won't say what time of year it's in because that may give it away. So,
Sydney Marathon.
Surprisingly, no, because I knew you'd think I'd go with that one. So, prior to sunrise, thousands of runners gather in different waves, flooded under lights as music plays and anticipation builds. There's a buzz around with excitement, but only the kind that comes from knowing you're about to run somewhere a little bit magical.
I know.
In the days leading up to
my feed has been inundated. My iPhone hears me talking about these events, and all of a sudden, when you're scrolling, I'm just getting them all the time.
I don't know what event you're talking about. Okay, I'm going to keep going.
Yes.
So in the days leading up to the race, the pre-event pickup feels more like a themed showcase. And what's different about this expo is it's held in multiple buildings and people get quite, passionate about ensuring that they're able to get certain things. So there's exclusive merchandise, character appearances, and photo opportunities. Now, one thing that this race is not is quiet, because along course there's live bands, DJs, cheer squads, and characters you could be familiar with. So it's broken down into all different sections. You move from highways, which you can't wait to see the back of, to different areas. You're even able to travel around the world without leaving this country. The final stretch is pure emotion. The crowds get louder, and the finish shoot feels like it's a celebration rather than the end of a long run. But obviously, crossing the finish line does come with a wave of relief, pride, and joy. Now, this race overall, it's less about a fast race and more about the experience. It blends endurance with entertainment in a way that makes even for the toughest people smile, and it makes the tough Ks feel a bit lighter. And it even has you thinking, would you do it again?
Yes.
Which one am I talking about?
Is it? You didn't mention that there's the big focus around cheese and snack boxes, but I can tell you it would be the Disney World Marathon.
Correct, because I knew if I put anything about a snack box or cheese, you'd get it straight away.
I was just saying to Tony before how wonderful it was to see, because it was only run last weekend for those who are listening, and how magical it was to see at the end, the very last place runner in the marathon was greeted with about 150 meters or so to go by the winner, the women's winner of the event, ran down the chute to help this person get over the finish line and finish. Now, nowhere in any of the Disney feeds did I see this is a photo or video of the winner crossing the finish line in the marathon or anything like that. I never saw that in any of the feeds, but this is what I saw in the feed, was from Disney saying, here's the last runner coming over the line, supported by the winner of the female. Now, that's just awesome. It is a magical event, and it is definitely one that I know Tara would love to do. I would love to do it again and go there. And you failed to mention the bling. The bling is huge. Just the 5K alone is the size of my hand, and it only gets bigger and bigger from there. And they spin and twirl and turn inside out and do all sorts of magical things. The event is awesome. The character stops are awesome. The fireworks, the marching bands, the gospel choirs.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah. The ability to ride a roller coaster in the middle of the race. The animals are out from Animal Kingdom. And as you said, you get to see backstage areas too, behind the scenes of the theme park, and you get to see what makes it so magical, I guess.
Well done, Luch. I think you will have listeners who now would be saying, I knew Luch would talk about this thing. All right. So up until about 5 minutes before we started recording, I really had no idea which marathon I was going to talk about. Some of my most favorite marathons I thought would be a bit too obvious. So I haven't gone for my favorite, but I have gone for one that I've run. And like Luch, I'm not going to tell you what time of year or whereabouts in the world it is, because I think if I was to say that, it would give that away. But the city that this marathon is run in is quite a cold city, but it's not necessarily held at a cold time of year. And it has been known for getting quite hot on race day. The expo itself is really quite interesting. It's open air expo. Quite a good range of products and brands. And this particular expo is held in close to one of the iconic structures that this city is actually known for.
Is it a city or a town?
It could be, well, I would call it a town nowadays with the amount of people leaving this city. But yeah, I still believe it's a city. So on race day, the biggest thing that really stood out for me in the corrals, because there are a number of these structures that this city is known for where the starting zone is, and there's different corrals. But the big thing that stood out for me is I think I had to go to the toilet probably 4 or 5 times from leaving my walking distance hotel to the start line. It was incredibly nerve-wracking for me. But I don't know why, but I was just fluid. So the run itself, once again, runs in towards the city first and then takes this big, long straight out to an area that's probably better known as you could liken it maybe to like a Central Park sort of an area, but it's also known for some fast cars that go around there a couple of times a year. Actually, it may only be once a year. But it's a really nice run. It's also known for, in that particular space, as quite a large park run. It's one of the largest park runs in this unknown country that I'm talking about. Once you've left the confines of that park, you then have another long stretch, and it's out along the water. And I love running along the water. But on this particular day, I thought that the run out to come back was actually horrible, right? So I love running along the water, but the on that particular day, there are some cutoffs along the stretch too. And as you go past the 21.1 kilometre, if you haven't made the particular cutoff, you are redirected back to the iconic structure where it's finished. And and you join up with the local football club, and you do a couple of laps around an oval to make up the time. But as you're running on this big long straight all the way back to the iconic structure, they take this little detour on another little parked area, which are some of the worst hills that I've ever run. So hopefully I'm painting a really nice picture of this particular marathon. But then once we'd run around the footy oval with the local football team, we then were allowed to enter the structure and head towards the finish line. And the finishing line was also known for me because my children were watching this particular event on live stream, and the live stream cut out 2 minutes before Sharon and I crossed the finish line. So that's just another reason why this race is well known. But yeah, that's my race. Along the course, there's a number of really good cheer zones, mainly associated with radio stations, a lot of drumming ensembles. There's a couple of sporting clubs that this city is known for that come out with their cheer squads along the side. They do pay homage to the legends that have run lots of this particular marathon, and they've got a special name, and you hear that special name called from the crowds. The crowd is okay, but more around the iconic structures where you start and finish is where you see the crowds.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but I believe that of this race, because it does have other distances, one year I did it and you were watching me enter this said structure, and the live stream went to a commercial just as I was coming
in. Yes, it did, Lucia, in that iconic structure that we're talking about. So I think... So which course was I talking about?
Melbourne.
So there must be a jinx there around the live stream right at the finish for the Flying Runr participants. But maybe I might have to go back down and do that one again, because I never felt good, because we missed the 21.1 by about 2 minutes, right? So I thought we were good, but we weren't. But a little bit of misjudgment on my point. And then doing laps on Punt Road was just horrible. So, but yeah, I mean, but a really nice weekend. I mean, we stayed right near the MCG. We were about 200 meters walking distance. So, you know, it was just the perfect place to stay for us. And the race was big in those days, but obviously bigger now. And yeah, it's the environment and that experience of running into the MCG is just an amazing experience. And while I was having some cramping issues, it's still one of the quickest marathons we have ever run together. So that's it.
Yeah. Tara and I did the half marathon there, and I think it was 2017, and it was a hot one that year. It was quite warm, but you're right, temperature does fluctuate in there. But yeah, awesome. You get all the venues. You start near the tennis centre there, where they're playing the Australian Open right now. And then, as you say, you go right down past Flinders Street Station, down St Kilda Road, around the Formula One track, down to St Kilda, then back up again and finish inside the MCG. just phenomenal. And the legends, they're not Persians, they're not Athenians, they're Spartans, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the crowd, a Spartan. If you're running, you're a Spartan because they've all got their singlets on. I suppose it's what Gold Coast is aiming to do with their Legends Club, I guess. But Spartans, and there's different color Spartan shirts depending on, I think,
10
you
years, 20
become,
years.
So good on Melbourne. I think it's an event that's steeped in tradition, and we love Sydney for being the major that it is, but Melbourne's got so much good stuff happening for it as well. And once again, just selling out in the days, the weeks, the hours of when it opens up. So let's so well done. So
You
I'm
did confuse me for a little while until you started talking about F1 tracks and park runs, and then I got it straight away.
Yeah. I think Luch might have got it a little bit earlier when I'm talking about structures. I'm thinking, how else do I say it? So if I use the word iconic, she'll go MCG, right? So Tim, what have you got for us?
Alrighty. Well, as I'm like you, Tony, I don't have a favorite. I like most courses I've run, and I would, in most instances, go back and do it. And I like you, we've talked enough and described enough of the majors that I'm not going to talk about a major, so it's not a major. But my course is, and my event is central to most people. I'll just say that it's central. It is an event that is not just about the marathon. It's about the destination and other activities that people do when they're in this location. And it's not one where you just fly in, do the event, and fly out.
I think I've got this one, Lucia, but I'm going to keep silent to let him go. So.
I don't have it yet.
The expo is an outdoor expo. It's pretty basic, but has pretty good merch, and it's pretty iconic sort of merch that they sell. The event itself is run on a Saturday, not on a Sunday, which is when typical marathons are run. It is a combination of multiple events. So you have marathon, half marathon. I think there's an 11K nowadays, and maybe a 5K or thereabouts, and maybe a 7K as well. It is everyone is bussed out in the dark to the start line. You bust out past this field that has some lights in it that glow, which gives you sort of a different sort of a vibe and a different sort of a feeling when you get in there. Some would call it a field of lights of such. And then from there, you start when sun rises, pretty much. When the sun rises and the colours in the surrounding area change, it becomes time for the marathon to start. And the marathon always goes first. The race itself is largely run on undulating sand and is not super hilly, but as I said, it has undulating hills and mounds that go up and down. Some would call them dunes of some sort, maybe sand dunes. And it is iconic. The starting point, as I said, is when the sun hits a particular monolithic rock structure, and from there it starts to go, and you do a loop around the township that is nearest to this particular monolithic rock structure. And you have views of this particular monolithic rock structure and another monolithic rock structure as well that's nearby. And it is just in a awesome location, awesome event, hosted by people that know about marathons, who have been to some of the biggest, or have been to all the biggest events around the world, and have taken a little bit of all those big races to develop an atmosphere at this event. It attracts runners from around the world. It is one of those iconic bucket list events that you should be putting on your lists. I know, Tony, you've done it twice and been there twice, and it is definitely a great place to be.
Absolutely. And you're talking about the Australian Outback Marathon. And it's one of
Yeah.
those very few events where, as you are there in a racing capacity, you can also volunteer to help sell the merch, as as my wife did there in, I think, both years we went. So, absolutely amazing event is the Outback
Yeah.
Marathon. I'd love to volunteer out there one year. I keep saying to the Travelling Fit team who run it and race direct it that that's something we certainly want to do. Not necessarily to run it again, because it is iconic, it is wonderful, and all of that. But I'd love to go out there and volunteer to help others have the experiences that we had. So.
And as I said, it is a destination, so it's not one you just fly in and do the race and fly out of. The whole point of it is to experience the destination. So it is, as you said, run and organised and owned by Travelling Fit, and part of that is they sell packages, not race entries. And the packages are about, on the Friday going out to Uluru and doing a walk around Uluru. On Saturdays, obviously, marathon day. On Sunday, you go out to Tatajuta, which is the Olgas as we know them, and you do a walk through there. And it's about really getting to understand the location, the history, and getting a sense of the vastness of where you are. They have an awesome celebration event, which is held under the stars. It's a full, 3-course buffet dinner under the stars, 5-star dining. Just top-notch accommodation options. You can't beat it. As far as the events I've been to around the world, it is so well run and so well organised, and all the packages that they have with it are just done so wonderfully well. I know, Lucia, you haven't done it yet, have you? But you're wanting to do it at some stage.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's definitely on the list. I don't know if I will do the marathon. I think I would do probably the 11K, just to take in the atmosphere. It would just be because, and from what you guys have said, it's just an amazing event, and also for what it does for the local community as well. I think, like Travelling Fit have done an amazing job.
Yeah. And whilst there is an official cutoff, I think it's 7 hours or whatever it is, it might be 8 hours. It's a loose cutoff. If there's runners still out on course, they'll keep cheering everyone on until they get there in the end. It's just a great vibe. And one of the things we found with it is, because you're doing all these tours and you're sitting on different buses next to different people, you're talking to them, who they are, where they are from around the world, and you make new friends. And it's so easy, to make new friends and meet new people. It's just a really good, well-organised, fantastic experience. And then throw on top of that, you do the add-on tours, the camel rides, the helicopter tours, the Field of Lights is a famous thing that's out there as well. It's just spectacular.
Very much so. And if it's not on your bucket list, it should be. So how was that to our listening public? Were you able to pick the events before we did? And maybe share with us in commentary some of your favorite events, and what were some of those iconic structures, whether it was a monolithic, I don't know how you said that twice, Tim, but monolithic natural structure or an iconic structure. What made your favorite event what it is? So we'd love to hear from you. So please put them in the comments of wherever you're listening. Well, I've enjoyed that. I was a little bit nervous because, like Luch, I thought, what if we all have the same one? Yeah, Tony, I think you're talking about New York, and Luch talks about New York, but no, it was good. Somehow we made that work, so well done. But it's that time of the week, and you know what it is. I'm going to pass over to Tim for Tim's tip.
Tim's tip, just keep your pace. No need to win, no need to race. Feel the earth, feel the sky. Tim's tip says, just give it a try. Yeah.
So, Tim, what's your tip for the week?
Thanks, Tony. My tip, as I said earlier on in the show, I'm getting back into running after having a quiet December. And really, as I said, it's about getting back into the routine and boosting up my distance again and getting things happening. It's not about pace for me at the moment. It's about distance and time and getting time on the legs. So if you are in the same boat as me, don't worry about times and how fast you're going. Just worry about building the routine up, getting the same number of runs in every week and being consistent. Consistency is the key to building up your duration, and duration then builds pace over time. So start off slow and steady. Worry about pace in later months, and just focus on building that consistency and routine back into your running at this time of year. And always, as we always say, don't forget to listen to your body. If it's got niggles, you're not feeling right, back it off. You don't have to, set world records at this time of year. So, that's my tip this week. A very simple one, and probably one I've said a number of times before, but one that is very true, is just take it easy at this time of year and build yourself back up again. And I say that for those who are in the southern hemisphere, where we've had a break at the end of the year. I think if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're in sort of peak training time at the moment, so being winter. But yeah, again, if you have a break over the holidays, just take it easy coming back into it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Tim. And we're about to end this episode. But before we do that, Luch, what's on next week?
Excellent. Thanks, Tony. So next week, we are starting the first of our first ever 3-part series, where we are going to be talking about the super halves. Much like the Abbott World Major, there are super halves. So, which is a new concept, and it's focused around 6 half marathons in 6 different destinations in Europe. And the good thing is, very similar to the Abbott Stars, they can be done in any time frame and in any order. And once you do the 6, you do get a super halves medal. So the super half destinations are Lisbon, Prague, Berlin, Copenhagen, Cardiff, and Valencia. So these events are grabbing huge attention around the world. And on next week's show, we are going to be talking about the first 2 events in the series, which will be Lisbon and Prague. We'll do our research and talk about everything you need to know from the Expo to the finish line. And as we keep saying, we are the only podcast with 4 7-star world major marathoners. And as usual, it's going to be another great episode, and one you're not going to want to miss.
Absolutely. Thanks, Luch. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the super halves. So, Mark, please send us some notes on your what you've experienced with some of that as well, because we'd love to hear from you. But that's
sorry. Before you go, Tony, the other thing is, up until recently, you had to do all 6 super halves within a 5-year period to get your medal. And I noticed on their website that they said that they've had so many people trying to go for the super halves medal that they've decided to extend it out because it's so popular. So you can take your time and take as long as you need to be able to get your super halves medal, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's much better. And of course, with the amount of sellouts that they're getting around the place, it would have made it quite hard for some people to do that, especially if you're from our side of the equator. So it would be quite challenging. But no, that's awesome. But that's it for this week's show. As usual, it's been another fun one, and hopefully we've inspired some of you to have a crack at some of the races that we spoke about. Hopefully we've given you that inspiration. I probably did not, but Melbourne is a great place to go and run. We love making this podcast for you, our listeners. If you've run one or more of the events that we've talked about, why not contact us and let us know on Instagram, Facebook, or email us at happyrunning@flyingrunner.com and tell us your thoughts. We love your feedback and we love sharing that on the show. You can watch this episode on Spotify and YouTube, or listen in on Apple, Amazon, and all other major platforms. If you are listening to this podcast, head to your favorite streaming app, except for Apple Music, and go check out Your Pace and Glory and these running songs have been made for you. So please enjoy them, put them into your playlist, and have some fun. But every step counts. Keep running, and we'll see you next time on the Flying Runr Podcast. Happy running.
Happy running.
running.
Teach the flying runner, run far, run free. Host the 7 stars, inclusive as can be. It's the flying runner for you and me. He's the flying runner, run far, run free. Host the 7 stars, inclusive as can be. It's the flying runner for you and me. It's the flying runner for you and me.